Hi, welcome to my next video. The purpose of this video is to just give you some advice on what gear to get as a beginner. This is something that's important to me. I already did a video before on my experience with amplification for guitars. Actually, I think this video, even though it's for guitar, I think it really applies to many other hobbies. So even if you don't own a guitar, if you're not a musician, I think this can be helpful for you, just the general principle of it. I think it's actually something that you will use along the way. And I think my approach for this would be to just show you what I have, at least for all the people who are interested in the guitars itself. I will show you what I have, what was my approach of getting them, around what price range you can get these, which is I think very important for many. But first let me talk about all the issues I think there are with all this situation, like when you just get into a new hobby and you have to purchase the equipment that you need. Yeah, so what are the issues there? So I think one huge issue is that we always want, at least me, again, I'm talking from experience, so it's not like, oh, I'm so good and so clever that I can do all these, but look at you just barely managed to even get to this video. No, just joking, of course. I actually all the things that I share with you is just based on my experience and my beliefs. It's not something that's necessarily the complete truth, or I'm not saying that this is the only answer, but this is my approach. Yes, so I think, at least for me, the biggest issue there is that I always try to just get the best. It's not entirely true, okay? So it's not like I shoot for the most expensive something and I want that, but I always just try to research the situation and optimize it until it's so tiresome, until I don't know, I just research for days and days and days and weeks and even months sometimes to just get to a level where I feel like nothing's working and everything I found is actually just, they also have flaws, okay? And suddenly you're out of your budget 3 times, which is absolutely not great at all. Yeah, so at least for me, I always kind of try to get the best stuff. But let's say in this case, I think the best stuff is what pro musicians use. Professional people, they use that. And I think most beginners just aim too high. Of course, I know that there's a lot of people around there, and I really wish to speak to those people too, so I will give some recommendations to everyone, because I know that a lot of people, because of your situation, because you're a kid, a lot of things can happen, and I don't think it matters even why can't you afford the guitar, or just why can't you afford the expensive guitar, but you just can't, okay? That's fine, that's absolutely fine. I think many of us been there, it's understandable. I will also add some help for these people, but yeah, I think a lot of other people who's not that category, they just aim too high and you want just the very best. But I think the very best is for people who actually know what they are getting. Because let's be honest, in the beginning of your journey, just in the very first day, you don't even know what is your preference. Just an example, when I first went to my local guitar shop or luthier, just someone who would do a checkup on my guitar, they were like, okay, and how do you feel about this? Do you think we should set the action higher? Is it comfortable for you? And you know what? My answer was I don't know at all. I don't know. I didn't notice. And I think that will happen with you too. I think it will take months, maybe even years, until you have some, I don't know, hard set preferences of, okay, I want an action like this. I want the guitar be set up like this. I don't know, this length is good for me, these strings are good for me, this thing annoys me, I love this thing. And then you can choose your guitars just based on, or any hobby equipment really, just based on your preferences. But to have preferences, you have to do it for some time, right? So you can't optimize at the very first moment. What you can do is just get the best possible solution for the, I think, the kind of cheapest price, and just go with it. Like, don't fall into the gear acquisition syndrome. You don't need 100 types. You don't need the best. You don't need to optimize this. Okay, I think just like look for some quick recommendations within a day. Just decide and get it, or maybe even based on looks from the certain series. I don't think that you actually need the best. I think you can't even tell the difference between certain ones, because we just have no experience at all. So let's get to the solution. What I would recommend for you, what I think would work, and then like I will show you what I did and how I approached this situation, and just a quick inside information. Yeah, it was a struggle for me too, for sure. So yeah, I think my first, let's just approach the solution in a clear way. I think my proposal would be, at least my first proposal, first option, so to speak, is buy something new in the middle price range, and I think use it for years, because I think that I will recommend a few, but I think within the price range, at least what I will recommend, and I'm sure it's not even the middle, but just in the beginning category, the middle, I would say. It's not the cheapest, it's not the most expensive, but it's something around the middle. I think that's good, because I'm not joking. I do genuinely believe that actually a good middle ground would last you for 5 years, 10 years. You can gig with it. You don't even need a better one, to be very frank with you. I think it's fine. And yes, there will be a point maybe where you will actually need something better, but by that time you're already so good you will not mind spending money if you can. So yeah, I think that's my first proposal. I think the second option here would be to buy something new. Buy something new in the lowest price range, like the lowest possible price range that you can get. But I think that this is my least favorite, because even those are very expensive, at least in my opinion. And compared to what you get, it's not very good. So I think I wouldn't do that, to be very frank, but it's on you. I think a lot of beginners do that, and I don't think that's the best idea there is. Because usually getting something much better is not that more of a money, but you get something like considerably better usually. Yeah, so I think my favorite one, the third proposal I would give you, is just to buy something used, but from the middle range. So kind of the first option, but instead of buying new, you would just go for used, which is a much, much safer option in my idea. I think you should not get caught up with the marketing, like, I don't know, going Fender, going whatever. You're a beginner. You don't have a preference. Just check what you like. Maybe check just a general review. Is it good? Like, just don't get something like a 1 star or something. It's like obvious everyone hates it, because like probably there is some reason in that. But again, like YouTube these days are not super reliable. So, and like my idea is just go to a store and try to check these and just try to see if it works for you. Maybe if you have any friends, that's the best. Ask around. But again, everyone is a bit opinionated, so it's not so easy to get something that's truly good. But what really matters is, I think you're a beginner, and it will be more than good for you. It will be more than enough. Likely your skill will be the limiting factor, not the instrument itself. So just get something that is not crazy bad and you're fine. These days the instruments got good, very good for a beginner. Yeah, I think used is the best value for sure. It's more likely, like with a used guitar, it's more likely that any major issues, any flaws would already come out. Just get something that's not crazy bad and you're fine. Instruments got very good these days. And I think used is the best value. It's more likely to be like big issues. There's a very good possibility that any major issues already come out. And you would say that, okay, like then I will be the person who will like purchase that bad instrument from someone. I think my recommendation for this is to like first, if there's a trusted store around you which sells like used instruments, I would go there and check their what they're offering, because they're not gonna sell you something cheap which is crazy bad, because that would, I don't know, mess with their reputation. So that's not good. Also, my other issue, and I think maybe that's the most versatile one, is just find a place, luthier or something that you trust, music store, an instrument store, and just look for used guitars in your area, or any equipment for any hobbies really. But let's stick with guitars, and all those people out there who's listening to this and have some other hobby, just please translate this to your hobby. It still applies, I think, most of it. So what I would say is just, I think you just buy something used, but before buying it, I think a lot of sellers actually versatile enough in your area locally to just bring that to somewhere, and then you would just ask them to meet at a store, and they would check it out quickly. If everything is sound, you just purchase it. And most probably people who refuse that are either just don't want to bother, or actually there's something wrong with it. So yeah, this is a bit more work, but you can ensure that what you're purchasing is most probably sound, and I think it's a safe option to do this. But to be frank, all the instruments I've seen, there are two types. You can buy something from a person who's like doing gigs and concerts and everything, and they really using the guitar, or most of the times what you will see is beginners just like me, sometimes just like you, who purchased something and then like got bored of it within a week, and then they're selling it, and the instrument haven't even really seen any major, I don't know, playtime. And also the one biggest factor is a lot of people out there with gear acquisition syndrome. Again, no judgment, I had it too, and sometimes I have it too still, so I know what it's like. But I think a lot of people are just purchasing things more than they need, and then like all of a sudden they're selling it to get something new, because I don't know, someone yelled at them that like, hey, why do you have like 15 guitars here, and you can't even like fit in the room anymore, or like, I don't know, your partner's like, all right, this is the 20th guitar, do you really need it? So whatever the reason, sometimes they sell it, and then it will get on the market, and maybe you will get it. So I think there's a lot of good offers on the market. Just you have to like just look out. Maybe there's someone with good reviews. So I think just all the major online purchasing advices go, like the major advices are true here too. So yeah. Yes. And I think it's the best value. You will save big on it. And the best part, I think it's almost like renting, because usually if you purchase something used and it turns out that it's not for you, you can just sell it. And most of the times, if you kind of try to haggle a bit, there's a very good chance that you will sell it for the same price, or maybe like just a bit lower, but in that area. You will not lose like half of it or something like on the new guitar sometimes. So again, if you're a beginner and you're not sure if it will be good, just aim for something low, just get the cheapest one out there, and if it turns out it's not for you, you just sell it, and no harm done really, because like the best way to know if a hobby is for you is if you just dive into it. Just reading on the internet will not help you really. So, but diving in with a new gear, you will lose money. Diving in with a used gear, if you're just a bit smart, like on how you conduct business, then I think you will have a very good chance of just getting rid of it for the same price. Yeah. Also on my recommendation, I think there are certain guitars or guitar families, or I don't know, like within brands that I would recommend just based on my research. I think one big thing here is like everyone recommends it, but I have experience with these, and I think it's good. Is the Yamaha Pacifica series, which is very comparatively very cheap. From the Squier lineup, I would recommend the Classic Vibes, or there's something called the Offset series or the Paranormal series. I think those are also good, almost like Classic Vibes level, or like people are really undecided on this, but there's a lot of good feedback on these. So I think that's great. Also, there are a few Ibanez guitars, and then really like some of these are similar, but what I know, what I can recommend to you is this like Fender Classic Vibe series or the Yamaha Pacifica, or even the Squier Affinity guitars, which is almost the lowest category what Fender or Squier offers really. I think the prices are around this range. Like I think for a Pacifica, the new price is around 200 USD or something. For an like, if you want, like for example, a bass guitar, there's something from Squier, the Affinity Jazz. It's around 270. I think the Classic Vibes is around 400 USD at the moment, and I think the Paranormal series is between like 3 and 400. New, of course. And of course, if there's any discounts, you can get way cheaper than that. But yeah, with used guitars, the price is much lower, and you can get very good deals out there. And again, I think what's great is that you can get something for like as low as $100, or maybe even less, like a Squier Bullet or something. And I think it still works. Is it the best instrument you will have? No. But I think it will be good for you as a beginner to even decide if you want this. It will be a good start. It's a bit like renting. If you don't like it, you can resell it. If you want a better one, you can resell it. People will buy it because it's so cheap. And the funny thing, when I got my bass guitar, I will show it to you soon. But when I got it, actually, I think the strings almost, a new pair of strings, a new set of strings actually cost more than the guitar itself, which is crazy. So that's what we're talking about here. But also, it's a good idea based on that to check the used guitar and check what can go wrong on it and how much it will cost you. And that's why a luthier or just an instrument shop can help you a lot, because if the strings are in a bad shape, you should calculate that in, maybe try to haggle the price before that. So I think just look at the guitar and just, I don't know, ask for some advice. What are the main issues that can happen and cost you money, and try to just make sure that those are not there, or if they are there, the price is matching it, all the money you have to put in it. But most of the times it will work. And for a beginner, if the strings are still not in the best shape, it will work. It's not about the fact that they will not sound in any ways. I mean, they will not have sound or something. They're not that clear. It's not good for recording or gigging. But again, this is so like relative, because you will not, probably you can't even tell. And the biggest thing is like there are genres and there are places where people actually use this kind of sound to just make music, because music is a creative process in some sense. So I think just try not to over optimize it. If the strings are not in the best shape, it will still work. So I think just try to get to a lower level than you would get on your own. Yeah. And my take on this is just like setup is very important even with new guitars. So it's very hard to not to pay that price, whether you buy used or new, because it's something that you will actually need to do, setting up the instruments. It will make your life easier. It will be more comfortable. Like most of the major issues can be eliminated through that, or like what usually arise at least. So I think that's a very good thing to do, and I would recommend it to anyone. Yeah. Again, with strings, there's a recommendation I would tell you. I think the Elixir strings are quite good. Again, like some people like it, some people hate it, but it lasts long. And I think as a beginner, that's something you need. Get that, because it will last crazy long and you don't have to spend money on it. So you're kind of saving money. And when you're like really into it, when you're really good in the hobby, you can just over optimize of what strings sound the best, what strings I like the most. And you can just think about this, but not now. You don't need to do it now. Yeah. Yeah, I think finding a good store is very important. And let me show you what I have at the moment. So my current bass guitar is like a Chord Action PG. Opa. This one. As I said, my current one is my current bass guitar is this. It's the Chord Action PG. It's like a jazz style guitar. I got this used. Maybe it's not the best light, maybe you can see it better here. It has like a red finish, but it's not, like the finish is not fully red. Okay, let me just quickly tell you and then I will show it. The finish is not totally red, it's just a bit translucent. You can see the wood grain. I think it looks awesome, and I think it's not even that heavy. There is a lot of benefit for this, and actually the funny thing that I think the original price for this, let me check, I actually wrote this down. So the original price I think is $200, the new price currently, which is also very cheap at this moment, but I got this around $90. So for $90 you can get an instrument. This is the price of a shoe, I'm not joking around. Like, a lot of people around you on the bus will have a more expensive shoe than this instrument, and that is crazy. And for the price it's a very good guitar. So I think for a price of a Nike shoe or something, you can get a guitar, an instrument that can last you a lifetime if you care for it. And it's nowhere near a bad instrument. So I really think it's quite easy these days to just get into guitars. Again, not for everyone, but this is a solid instrument. And I think it looks good, relatively. I think a beginner does not need any more. So I can really recommend that. If you don't like this, there's the Squier Affinity Jazz, but that will cost you a bit more. But still, with a used price, I think you can find something great. So let me show you this and check it out. I think this is a very good option, really. Yeah, so that's my bass guitar. Of course it had some nicks and dents and some scratches and stuff on it, but nothing crazy. And again, I never understood those people who purchase something used, or they're purchasing something that they will use, and then they start worrying about, oh my god, it has some scratches or there's a dent. Things that you use will have scratches and it will have dents. Just embrace it, because it will not affect how you play music. And I can almost ensure that if you buy something new, you will take it home, you will baby it for a week, but something will happen, okay? You just hit the desk with it, you accidentally, someone drops something on it. Are you willing to play that guitar or use that equipment, or are you just want it to be closely shut off somewhere? Because I don't know, with a million-year-old fossil, I would understand if you just want to showcase that. But an instrument is there to be played, at least for most of us. So don't baby it. If the used one has some stuff in it, embrace it. You will put more dents on it too. So just don't go crazy over these things, because I think it's just wasting your time. And the other guitar I have is an electric one. I mean, of course, the bass is electric, so that's me. But anyhow, the other one is a Squier, actually. And I kind of fell in love with this. This is not the cheapest one. I almost pulled the trigger on a 100 USD one, because, I don't know, that's my just new ideas, that to get the cheapest, you're less likely to sell it. Because again, just a little story to you. At some point, I purchased like a US-made Fender. Me, like a beginner, I don't know, years ago. And I didn't really even have the money, okay? So within few weeks I had to actually sell it, because it was a very, very crazy impulsive decision, and I didn't even have the money for it, and I knew it's bad the very moment I purchased it. I knew I shouldn't do it, but I still did it, like, because sometimes you're unreasonable in these things. And my friends, and one friend especially, he called me out on this, and he was right, to be frank, and I really didn't need it, and I really didn't need it. And actually, like, comparing it to this one, I think this is perfectly well. I I like this and I don't have any issues with it. So I agree. I think we do these things, but you know, the more expensive it is, the more likely you will sell it because, I don't know, let's say there's a huge issue out there and you have to sell it. But it's much less likely that you sell something that costs like a shoe or something that costs like, I don't know, a week worth of groceries. Even that's a lot, okay? I can understand that, but I think $90 is less likely to be sold for the money compared to like $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever a new Fender costs right now. So I think just stay reasonable and you're much likely to stay in the hobby than if you're just over optimizing and getting something that's out of your level and your price range. So yeah, I think this one, I fell in love with this, just the shape, just the color. So it was a bit more of a choice where I knew it's not the best price. It's not the cheapest, I would say. The price was very good and the quality is good, but I knew I could get something cheaper. So yes, I a bit fell into the pit of getting something I like, but I think that's also very important within a reasonable margin. Because if you like it, you will play it more often. And that's good, but just don't go overboard. I think I still remained in a very good budget with this one. I think, let me check how much it cost me. Yeah, I think usually this series costs like 300 or 400. And if I'm not wrong, I got it around 300 or something like that, 250 used. So that's still very good. It's not 100 USD, but still, it's almost a beginner level new. I got it used, of course, from a musician's, like an instrument store. So let me show you. It's a Paranormal Tornado. Yeah, okay, like maybe let me do a background story before. So this will be a weird shape. It's from the Offset series, the Paranormal series, which is something that these are shapes that Fender did and they never turned out to be popular enough. I think they released the original one in 1998 or something. It was a higher end Mexico Fender. I think the shape is similar to Jaguar or like Jazzmaster. And also the interesting thing about it is it has a Gibson scale length. So yeah, and how it got to me, there was a person, but it's here by the way, so like maybe you already spy your little eyes on it. So how it got to me and how it got to the store, there was an owner, a previous owner, who actually was so unsure about the color and the look that one day he loved it, the other day he kind of hated it. But yeah, what other people are unsure about, it will be your most happy moments, because I really looked for this. I didn't even plan to buy this, but I just found it used. The price was fair, everything was good, and I just had to pull the trigger on this, and I'm happy. I think it was a good decision, and I like it a lot. So yeah, let me show it. These are my two guitars, and I don't really plan to just change them. I'm very satisfied with them. I took it to the luthier, they just made adjustments, and I think they are great. I'm having so much fun with it. They were relatively cheap. I don't feel like I need to get one more. I actually like it a lot. And it's not the best guitar, it's not the most expensive guitar, I'm sure there's any better, but for me it's just perfect, and I'm very satisfied with both of them. And I really feel I don't need to get a new one, I don't need to get a different one. I think this is a perfect instrument for me. I hope this video helped you, and you will just also have an easier decision when you're getting yours. Thanks for tuning in. If you like the video, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. That would be great. And see you in the next video.